From dating to relationships, from sex to love, from Christianity to politics, from darkness to light, you have now entered into the real zone. Welcome to Conversations with Trent, where no topic of conversation is safe from discussion. Now, here he is, Mr. Epic himself, Trent Williams.
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome to another conversation with Trent and Friends. We got a good one here tonight. Actually, it's from a blog that I wrote a couple of weeks ago, and that conversation came up on the latter part of our previous podcast between Coach D and I and Urs, and it struck a thought. You know, Coach D's always talking about trauma and whatnot, and she was mentioning her blog. So I thought it would be a great idea to actually do this podcast tonight on Are You Wealthy? It's a blog I wrote. I hadn't written on that blog site in over 10 years, over a decade, and decided to clean, some stuff up on my website. And are you wealthy? Let's be honest, right? Mental stability and being physically fit goes hand in hand. Make great decisions and all that good stuff. Even in this situation, and being partially paralyzed and whatnot, I'll be a little transparent before I bring the ladies in, but I didn't swipe a card to get that sight back. I didn't swipe a card to start walking again at all. Had nothing to do with monetary things. So let's dig into this topic. Let's get Coach D and Urs in here. One sec. Hey. What's going on with you?
Not much. Monday is coming already, and I need a couple more days.
Real quick. Look like Urs got a whole bunch of stuff going on there. One sec. Let me pull her out and pull her back in. So yeah. So we're talking about
Hi. Hello.
What's going on, busy?
Trying to get it together.
Live TV is all good. Listen, how you ladies doing, man?
Well, D, how are you?
Pretty good. So we talked about we touched on it a little bit after Coach D was talking about her blog. It just struck a thought with me when I hadn't written on my blog again. I'm sorry.
I don't have a blog.
I thought you mentioned a blog.
No.
You sure?
Sir, I would know if I had a blog. I don't have a blog.
Well, I mentioned my blog and what I had written on the blog, so we decided to do that. Are you wealthy? So Ursula's actually read the blog as well, and she'll go through it and bring up her takeaways, and we'll talk about it. And Coach did do this coaching on that end as well. So good stuff, man. Are you wealthy? But how you guys doing, man? You guys are kind of. Anybody had any coffee today or something? What's going on?
I think I had too much coffee.
Listen, some of us are busy doing a whole bunch of stuff, sir. So not all of us are lounging around in the house.
Oh, you think I'm lounging there? Do you think I'm lounging there?
Well, I'm sure you're not as busy as Xavier and I are. So
I just make it look easy. Easy. That's because my mental is stable and I'm healthy.
Some of us are still trying to maintain that stable mental health. Exactly. If you got, how old is your baby, D?
He's 10. Okay,
so she has a 10-year-old, and of course that does kind of subtract from your mental health just a little, not much, 10%, because he's 10.
Right.
No.
Well, trying to maintain a 10-year-old, right? No,
he doesn't affect my mental health at all. If anything, to be honest, because I'm a former soldier, he is the reason I'm still alive. So.
So he's good. He's good for your mental health.
Oh yeah.
I like it, D.
If your children aren't good for your mental health, if there's nothing medically wrong with them, and there's no issues going on with them, that then you should be good.
You're reminding me
Let's get
now
down
why
to the get
people.
down real quick. We got Slash here tonight.
I see it.
You want to read?
Grand rising melanated people. Greetings, Princess Coach D and Earth in the dark and Mr. Epic. Okay, I'll get some light going. Give me a second. Just a second. Go ahead.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Alvin just jumped in saying good evening.
I see you, Sal. What's going on with you, brother? What's going on with you?
Here's my thing about mental health. So because somebody makes it look like they're caring, makes it look easy, doesn't mean it's easy. So we tend to say, oh, if your mental health is good, you're great. But that's kind of a stigma, that if somebody's mental health isn't good, then they're not good. So we have to be there's a fine line we have to walk there.
I totally get it. But let's be honest, right? Great health and mental stability is the new wealth. So Ursula's going to touch on some of the blog that I touched on. Honestly, it is. It's the new wealth for me. Like I said in the opening, right?
You.
Like I said in the opening, for me personally, like I said in the opening, right? You know, monetary things didn't get me to get this sight back. Monetary things, I didn't swipe a credit card to start walking again. Everything started here.
How does life look from that pedestal, sir?
I'm sorry?
How does life for the rest of us look from that pedestal? Because you're getting a little holier than thou right now.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
First, can you read the blog? Read some of the blog.
Yeah. So, as we discussed a little earlier, you and I, all right, D, give me a chance.
We can't see you, love. You're in the dark still.
I know. I think I'm just gonna have some poor lighting issues tonight.
Okay.
Because I've done some things. It's just the way the sun is setting in my background.
Got it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's just
all good.
I want to make sure they can see you.
Yeah. Well, they can always, if they want to get a true image of me, they can always, catch me later in other areas. With my reels. So, but
you can self-promote, ma'am. You can self-promote.
Yeah, I know later in the show. So I wanted to say, D, I don't. I want to give me an opportunity, because I know you're very intelligent. So give me an opportunity to get some of it out before you beat me up. All right, just want to get that disclaimer.
Let's get to the basis of the show.
Okay, so and I'm looking away because I have another unit set up. In today's world, the definition of mental health is shifting. It is no longer solely defined by financial prosperity and mental possession and material possessions. Great health and mental stability has emerged as the new indicators of true wealth. The realization that physical and mental well-being are invaluable assets has gained traction. People are recognizing that without good health and mental stability, all the money and possessions in the world hold little significance.
Let's stop there for a second.
Yes. Go ahead.
Stop there for a second.
Go ahead.
So, in today's climate, with this whole, and the reason why I wrote that blog, I started thinking about the COVID and all the the backlashes on the COVID and people getting sick. And I've never had COVID, never experienced, even though I was in a hospital while COVID, at the start of COVID, when it started running rampant. We didn't even know it was out there. So I'm blessed, really thankful, really grateful for that. But I think I got a leg up on this recovery because I jumped right into psychologically, then going into physical. Actually, when they started introducing me to the physical therapy, I requested speech therapy first. And I had to talk my doctor into doing that for me. As you guys know, and everybody else who followed me, who's followed me over the years, I'm a motivational speaker. That's what I do for a living. So it was very important for me to get this speech therapy going. So the speech therapy helped me get this.
And you also, not to interrupt you, but you also was previously an entertainer too. You had a
Absolutely.
singing group. You and
Absolutely.
Michael and the other guy that passed away.
Absolutely. So it was very important for me to speak again. So I didn't have physical therapy until I got the speech together and my mental together. Like maybe about, let's say about 3 or 4 weeks, maybe about 5 weeks. Then I started with the physical and occupational therapy. Then I moved on. But it's very important that you get your head together. And I'm speaking this from experience. You know, I'm speaking it from my personal experience as far as when we talk about mental stability. Now think about this, right?
Yeah,
If I wasn't mentally stable, I wouldn't be as far as I am in this recovery.
this journey, right?
Exactly.
I
You know what I'm saying?
I
Can
want
you
to break in there.
can you
Go ahead,
define
D.
mentally stable, please?
For me,
Uh-huh.
if I was a ball of emotions, D, you know very well what happened 6 months
Mm-hmm.
before this happened to me, right? My mother passed away 6 months before this. And 2 months and 10 days before that, my brother passed.
Mm-hmm.
I was an emotional wreck. That's what caused the bleed on the
That's a lot.
brain.
That's a
Straight
lot.
stress. Straight
Right.
stress. So I was
And
very unstable.
not to mention that the food, and even not the food, the alcohol, the company you were keeping at the time,
Absolutely.
all of
Absolutely.
it played a contributing factor into, you know what I'm saying? You're navigating, the loss of people that's closest to you, and the people
Absolutely.
that's out on the outer extremity of the people closest to you aren't all the healthiest relationships for healing yourself
Absolutely.
mentally. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So almost like she said, her son doesn't hurt her
Yeah.
after, he actually keeps her stable. So
Mm-mm, I don't use the word stable.
okay, I'm sorry.
So I knew she was going to dig in. I've been knowing this woman for over 20
You
some odd
know.
years. I knew she
Mm-hmm.
was going to dig in. So let's have at it. Let's get at it.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing around mental health. The reason our community doesn't get mental health is because of the terms like stable, mentally well. Because what happens is we are inundated with trauma from racism, from classism, from sexism. All of those, never forget the crime in the inner cities where people are seeing trauma on a regular basis, right? People are trying to navigate. So when you say that you're mentally stable is a sign of, and physically healthy is a sign of wealth, I disagree completely because trauma affects too many of us. And you may see somebody who looks like they're mentally, you use the word stable, but they're not,
Right.
right? Coping skills can make people look very effective.
Right.
My
I
coping
totally
skill for
get that.
my coping skill for my PTSD is overachieving.
I totally
So if
get that.
you
And now you
if you
know,
look at me, wait, I'm not done. So if you look at
go ahead.
people who look like they're mentally healthy and physically healthy, that is a visual. That's not who they are.
I
Because
want to.
a lot of the time, what in trauma, what presents as mental stable is just a coping mechanism, so that society doesn't beat them down more. That's like
I
saying
never
if you
even
have
thought about
depression, go and
society when I was
exercise and
talking
it'll
about
fix
mental
it. It doesn't.
stability.
Hmm?
I wouldn't care about society at all. When I'm talking about
Yeah,
mental
but we're not
stability, I'm
talking
talking
about
about,
you, sir. We're talking in
okay,
general.
gotcha. We talk about the
Right?
blog, Judy. We talk about the blog. But go ahead,
Yeah.
Ursula. Go ahead.
So I think one of the reasons why I kind of thought we was having gumbo talk was just to kind of talk around certain topics to keep us all a little open and aware of um, our current climate, our environment, and where we
Oh,
are
we
and
are.
who we're connected to.
We
So
definitely
when we talk about, so when we talk up, let's that's just a little excerpt that I'm gonna say. When you talk about mental stability, we all may not really quite understand where we are,
Mhm.
but I think if I'm gonna go out on the edge here and say when you are around good communication and when you're around poor communication, you know the difference. And those are the
absolutely.
determining factors of what keep you stable and what makes you tick off. I mean, if you're in an environment that's toxic to you, you know it. because your response to it. Otherwise, we will have a bunch of people running around here killing people. And we don't have that, because people understand when you are enraged, it is not healthy. And that is when you have no mental control. So I think
think about this, right?
I think we kind of have some idea what stability sort of looks like,
Think about
Just
this, right?
not
I'm gonna get a little transparent for a second, so D and I could actually line up on this topic. But I knew once I talked about, I know we won't. I knew once I talked about mental stability, I knew it was going to be a problem for her. I know this woman well. I know her well, and ladies and gentlemen, there's no, discrepancy between me and D at all with that. I just know that she doesn't like that word.
Yeah.
So, but here's the thing, though, right? With my situation, right? Hold on one second. Let me do a few things on this side. Get this thing straight real quick. Let me get the audience together. So, like in my situation, right? When I became partially paralyzed, partially blind, and I knew from the stump, right from the start, what the condition I was in, the uphill battle I was facing, and the people I had around me at that time, I needed to get away from those people.
Right.
Including family members. I needed to get away. So I went into seclusion. I separated myself from everybody. The only person that saw me in that recovery in the early stages was my brother Alvin and my ex-girlfriend at the time. That was it. For my stability to get better. So I had the wherewithal to make those changes because I had to move away from all the toxicity,
Toxicity,
all the
right.
toxic that was around me, right?
You and I talked. Yeah, we've talked in depth about that.
So think about it. If I wasn't stable, to think like, hey man, I gotta get out of this situation to better myself.
Does D, is she familiar with a little bit of
she's very
your environment and what might have kind of been going on before you lost your brother and everything?
We don't have any secrets. Yeah, there's no secrets.
Okay, I'm just wondering.
But what D is, like, she's very technical when it comes down to mental stability. So
I can understand why.
I knew what I was doing when I wrote the blog, and I knew, like, even if I knew what at some point I was going to bring it up because I haven't wrote on that blog site in over a decade. So, but that's what I wanted to talk about. You know what I'm saying? For me, health is wealth at this point.
Right.
Even when I had it all.
I want to
when I had it, I feel so much better. Go ahead.
I want to share. I know I shared with you, but now I want to share with Coach D my personal experience a little bit about mental health and not mental health, mental stability. Okay.
Right.
So I probably was about 44 when it took place. And it's kind of like you're forced to reckon with yourself. I was making some poor health choices as far as for hanging out, partying a little too much. I was drinking, not drinking. If you ask me, I wasn't an alcoholic or a drunk, but I was drinking maybe sometime in excess, maybe, maybe, we're going to say that. Right. And I found myself like just not so much as in toxic relationships, but just not comfortable with myself, and like it's almost having an outside your self experience. Like you look at yourself in a mirror. You're forced to look at yourself in a mirror, and you wonder, is there some things I can do better? Never thought about my weight. My weight was not an issue. What was the issue was the drinking. Why was I drinking? Probably some of the things I had going through. So I had to really, really hone in on what I felt uncomfortable the most about myself with. And I had to go ahead and start checking boxes on myself, regardless to whether I didn't think about a therapist and go and talk to somebody. As far as I'm concerned, I had a daddy and I had people I could talk to. And they had told me things about what I was doing, but they didn't come from a therapeutic place, more of a, you're better than this. And I wasn't doing anything extremely bad, except maybe, hanging out a little bit. And like I said, drinking in excess. Right. And so one day it just prompted me. I'm like, I want to do better for myself. That's just it. Right. And I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm not going out. I'm going back to school. I just got in the class and I started going to school because I just was doing.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. You had the wherewithal to make that decision.
That's right.
To make a change.
That's right. I knew.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, the wherewithal. I just knew I wasn't. And more each year, because of that, at 44, and I want to say it's like close to 2017, that I had that, like, look at myself in the mirror and say, what can you do to better your lifestyle? I just kept on doing it more and more. Every year, I'm like, okay, I made it here. I want to get there. And that is how you can say health, and health is wealth, because it did prompt me to start to look at things over, just all kind of things overall, not so much as my money I had in the bank, but accountability to still counting, being accountable to myself. You know what I'm saying? And to those who was closest to me. You know what I'm saying? And making sure that I'm lining up what I'm telling people, just more and more. I'm telling my son this. How am I lining up to that? I'm telling my mom, my sister, my dad, whoever, my brother. How am I lining myself up with what I'm saying? And so that's just it. That's when you say numbers to numbers. When people say the numbers ain't numbering, what you're saying ain't what you're doing. So we all don't need to be in the same place, but are you mentally accountable for your actions? And I'm gonna just stop there for the time because I don't want to run with the show.
Okay, so we're gonna get D in, and then we're gonna get back to the blog. D.
So I'm listening to the two of you to understand, and what I'm hearing is not mental health, but accountability and boundaries were implemented. That's different. It's very different than mental health. So mental health is how your brain is working psychologically, right? Accountability and setting boundaries, like when Trent didn't want anybody around him, he set a firm boundary to remove the toxicity from his life. So here's the thing. I work with people who have faced traumas, some traumas that you don't even want to wish on your worst enemies. So I'm very, very careful about the language I use, because saying somebody's not mentally stable will shut somebody who is in trauma mode down, where they will not seek help anymore. Wait. So what I'm saying is, we have to be very careful about the language you use when we're talking about mental health, especially with our community, because our community avoids counseling at all costs as it is.
I get it. I totally get it. And I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say. I totally get it. Mm-hmm. But this is why Coach D is on the platform to define all the things that I say. So can you go back to the blog for a second?
Yes. Did I say them? Moreover, great health and mental stability contributes to overall happiness and contentment. They enhance one's ability to find the joy in the present moment, and cultivate positive relationships and experiences at a sense of fulfillment. I want to say this part before we jump in. In the new paradigm, I'm going to talk on this in depth. In the new paradigm, the pursuit of wealth is no longer focused on accumulating material possessions. Instead, it involves prioritizing self-care, adopting healthy lifestyle choices, and nurturing one's mental well-being.
Thank you.
I'm going to say that part again, because this sounds like a sermon. In this new paradigm, the pursuit of wealth is no longer solely focused on accumulating material possessions, Material possessions will have you messed up.
Exactly.
It'll have you on some material.
Let me stop you right there for Urs. Urs, I really appreciate you reading the blog. And Dee knows I'm writing about my life in that blog. She knows everything that I'm saying. I'm talking about myself, all the things that I suffered with, the material possession, everything. Dee was in the height. Dee was with me in the height of it, in the thickness of it all. In Michigan.
I'm still going to call you out on language, though.
I know you are. I know you are.
It is what it is.
And here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, this is why if you guys go to TaylorKennedyOnline.com and you'll see Dee's section. She's a phenomenal coach. She's a phenomenal coach. This is why her services are available. This is why I have her on a platform, because she's going to check me for some of the words I use, the terminology I use. I do that on purpose so that I could be. Go ahead.
I want to say something. What I want to say is that, you got first you got to realize where you are before you can get help.
Absolutely.
You really got to know. You got to know your place before you can get help. Honestly, some people don't even know they're in trauma. They don't. And I'm talking about.
That's my whole point. That's
people
my
who
whole
you really
point.
work significantly with. They don't even know they're in trauma. Some people don't know.
People know what has happened to their lives. People know what's happened to their lives.
People know what has happened, but people also meet people who have been in the same situation, and that's who they may connect with. And nobody thinks they're in any kind of trauma. They need any kind of mental health. Sometimes people actually adjust themselves accordingly. Like they're like, this is normal. This man, mama was on, drugs, and so was mine.
It's called a trauma bond.
I'm sorry?
It's called a trauma bond.
It's called a trauma bond.
Right. And so but they don't think about it like that. People really think this is how we connect. And nobody thinks that they need to have a conversation with nobody that's a therapist. But so first you got to know where you are before you can ask for help. And
I don't think you need to know where you are. You just need to know that something's going on.
Again, that's what you need. People don't even own that, because like you said, trauma bond. Like, yeah, this is normal. The whole crack phase is normal. People think that's normal.
The reason why I don't want people to think that I'm sitting on a high panel of judges here, right?
Right.
Here's why I recognize my situation, and I recognize the toxic people around me. When this happened to me, when I became paralyzed and partially blind, I had 15 years of certifications of coaching. I knew the tools to get myself out of that situation.
Right.
I'd already acquired the tools. I had already acquired those tools. So I'm not saying that I'm not sitting on a high panel of judges. I'm not saying that, hey, look at me. No, I'm not doing that at all.
No.
This is what I realized. I realized that I needed to be out of that situation, and I needed to isolate myself to get to a better space.
So when you say you isolate yourself, I'm just very, very, you know how I am. I'm very
careful words. She careful language.
You set boundaries to remove the toxic people.
I did.
So we want to make sure that we use the language so that people know what the coping what tools you were using.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's what Coach D is here for. She's going to correct all the words that I say wrong.
So what tools were you using?
It's not about saying wrong. It's just about making sure that when we talk about the tools, we get caught up in the coaching world language, and people outside of it don't know the language. So we want to make sure
that's true, and that's what I forget about. I get caught up in all that coaching to where, and you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So you're totally right about that. But I knew that Alvin was healthy enough to make sure that I was good, because I needed someone physically. Mentally, I was still straight, but I needed someone physically. And I knew that Alvin could handle that.
Yeah.
I knew he could handle it. I knew Torrance could not handle that situation at all.
Right.
Alvin cleaned me, wiped me. Him and my ex-girlfriend cleaned me, wiped me, fed me, and everything. You know what I'm saying? So I knew what I needed to do to get to a better space. And this is why I say, are you wealthy? I'm extremely wealthy at this point. I'm extremely wealthy at this point. From that experience, now I'm listening to my nutritionist. I've had a nutritionist for 15 years, but now I'm finally listening to her.
You're wasting a lot of money, sir.
Actually, she was a great friend of mine. It was at a great discount.
Yeah.
Almost like the trauma coaching with you was at a great discount.
Yeah. Like, here's the thing. People like, why is D picking on Trent? I'm like, D's not picking on Trent. I adore Trent. We're good buddies, right? It's all about making sure that sometimes the two of us get caught up in our coaching language, and we want to make sure that we can. We do what's called subconscious coaching. We coach you through how we discuss things. So we want to make sure that we use a language that somebody can go, oh, what's a boundary? They said boundaries a few times. Let me go look that up. So that you guys
these heavy on language, folks. D, tell the folks how long we've been knowing each other. So there's nothing. This is normal for her and I, so it's very normal.
You knew me before I had gray hair, so we're talking a good 20 years.
Exactly.
Yeah, a while.
He's also a Canadian, so she's a little bit different. A little bit. That's not a dig, D.
That's what makes me special.
Yeah.
It's all good. So hey, finish with the blog so we could actually continue to get on D's nerves here.
I want to talk
I'm used to it.
I want to talk some more about myself so D could kind of get to know me
through
the gumbo conversation.
Be careful, I'll start coaching you too.
You'll be surprised. You get to know me. We'll be coaching each other, honey, because I had a 10-year-old a long time ago.
Go ahead.
Instead of I'm gonna finish up what I was saying. Instead, it involves prioritizing self-care, adopting healthy lifestyle choices, and nurturing one's mental well-being. I love that. Ultimately, great health and mental stability are the true measures of wealth in today's society. And that is just with this election alone. I'm gonna read that. Ultimately, because it's a new election year.
Yeah,
a lot's happening. It's happening at the supermarket, in the grocery stores, at the light. Ultimately, great health, great health and mental stability are the true measures of wealth in today's society. They provide a solid foundation for fulfilling and having a prosperous life, allowing individuals to thrive in all aspects of their existence. And that last part. I'm not saying that just yet. Let's unpack. Ultimately, great health and mental stability are true measures of wealth in today's society. So, we can go round for round on that. What y'all were talking about the mental health. What mental stability looks like. But I just gonna give a little, from myself.
Go ahead.
I remember a few years ago, even after going back to school and getting my completing my first formal years of college, after my son graduated from high school, knowing that I was in a pretty decent place, but still longing for more of, to better myself. You can only do so much fiscally, and I started to, really unpack where I was and try. So all of that being said, I started to think like I want whatever the Most High have in store for me. This was where a lot of work took place. I no longer cared what the outer me looked like. People get it confused when they see who I am today. They think that it's about what I look like on the outside. It's really the inside work that took place. I really tore the old Ursula down. Yeah, I had a college degree. Yeah, my son was off to college. Yeah, I had a brand new car. All of the things that you think material that make you wealthy,
It's not
That
it.
didn't, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Not it.
I still was empty. And I knew I was empty.
Right.
And I had changed some of my friends. I changed places I went. I bought a couple of outfits. I still was not happy. And I took a journey within. I took a deep journey within. And that is where the work began. The person who people see now, they see a person who, whatever he looked like to you, whoever you call God, the universe, or whatever, you see what he's done. This is what he's done. I remember who I connected with. I remember why I connected with her. I connected with her because I liked the way she looked on the outside. But me and her talked in depth. She had talked to me 10 years ago, and I didn't understand where she was. But when COVID hit, right before COVID hit, she allowed me into her personal life. I saw she just didn't tell me what she was doing. She had to move. She was moving her life from one place to another. And she said, I said, I'm gonna help you move. And when I help her move, this is my good friend Ronnie.
Right.
When I helped her move, I saw that she wasn't just talking about being healthy. The way she looked isn't about how she looked, it's about how she lives here.
Right.
Because here, what you eat, how you process what people say,
what you consume. Yeah. So let's get to the professional side of it.
Yes.
D, you heard everything that she said. Break that down in coaching terms.
So here's the thing. When we're talking about how we're thinking, how we're reacting, how we're looking at things, we'll be very cognitive that each individual's experiences vary and the trauma that they've incurred affect those experiences. So when we say how we think, if somebody is neurotypical, we think a very different way than somebody who's neurodivergent, somebody who has ADHD, somebody who may be on the spectrum, somebody who has OPP, any of those things that are going on, right?
Right.
Some people have inner monologues. Some people, I just found out, do not have an inner monologue. When they're having a conversation, there's no one else in their head talking. Like, to me, that like my psychiatrist does not have an inner monologue. I'm like, yeah, no wonder you're zen all the time. So there's nobody else relaying all the information that you have.
Right.
So it's all about mental health. For me, is all about how you're able to deal with the stuff that you have going on.
There it is.
We all have stuff going on.
There it is.
Right. And so I'm very careful because I hear all too often that people who are depressed should go outside and exercise. I'm like, I have never wanted to slap people so much when they say that.
No.
Because that doesn't cure depression.
No.
Like, walk away, go find something to do. So when you are working on yourself, there are times where you will be curled up in the corner crying. And it is okay to not be okay. Because if you are working on yourself and there's no point during any of this work that you're not curled up in the corner crying, I'm going to seriously doubt how much you put into that. Right?
You see all this coaching I done pulled out of D. You see all this coaching I done pulled out.
You did not pull nothing out of me, sir.
I'm loving this right now. I'm loving this right now.
Do not take
Keep
credit
coaching,
for my stuff.
I'm
So here's the thing. We ignore the interruption. So we want to make sure that when we're talking and helping people about our stories, that we make sure that we're not affecting them negatively when we tell the story. Right? So that's why when I tell people, I'm like, just because they carry it well doesn't mean it was easy.
Absolutely.
Right? So people like, oh, gee, you got it together. You do all this stuff. You achieve all this stuff. I'm like, you know what? I sleep maybe 2 hours to 3 hours a night because of the nightmares and all that stuff. What looks easy is not easy all the time for everybody. And I write my books so that I can help people who go through the stuff that I go through, so they can better understand that they are okay. And it's okay to not be okay.
It's okay not to be okay.
I wish I need that for a bumper sticker on my car, to be honest. And there's so many people out here who won't reach out for help because society tells them that it's not okay to not be okay.
Exactly.
Right? And if you look at social media, Like I was looking at social media, Simone Biles, God love her, has hurt her calf, right?
Right.
People are tearing her down because she's stepping back and I'm like, the woman is 12 feet in the air. I'm like, yo, if you can do what she's doing, then you can criticize her stepping back. But
Yeah,
people will quickly tear you down
you got to have
on
some
social
thick
media.
skin trolling these internet
Oh
streets. You
yeah,
have to. You
yeah.
have
And
to.
if you have the least bit of self doubt or imposter syndrome or any type of mental health issues going on, I tell people do not
Exactly.
look at any comments on anything. Read the article and keep it going because it will put you into a space that you don't want to be in.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
I have.
ladies and gentlemen, the only reason I chose this topic for that blog, with that blog, because I knew that it was going to pull D out. I knew it was. The
Yeah, yeah.
moment I
We
said mental
type.
stability,
I I
the,
I wanna I wanna say something.
go ahead.
I have a 26-year-old D, and he about a year ago, more than a year now, it's about a year and a few months, he made the decision after we had talked round and round. He made the decision to move to Arkansas and take a job outside of the state of Louisiana. And if you know
Right.
anything about Louisianans, we rarely leave home. So
Sure.
we just don't leave home. And so it was a huge decision for him. I've never left home. And so in him doing that, he recognized that who his mama was because he knew I never left home, not even for college. And so when he left home, he recognized how much he loved family. And sometimes he misses us and sometimes he's hurt, you know. And so I did tell him initially, well, son, make sure you extend your gym membership to Planet Fitness. And he said, Ma, I do. I said, well, what else is it that you like to do? I said, what makes you feel good? He said, painting. He said, going to the lake. I said, make sure that you are putting putting that in place, making time for that in your life to paint and to go to the
Right.
lake or whatever it is that helps you to have that inward dialogue that you just talked about, or whatever it is that keep you in a somewhat balanced, a mentally balanced place as you long or you kind of sort of miss home or whatever. And I said, you home will always be here and you can always come back. But I did share with him that I want you to make sure you keep a mental balance and we connect often and talk about it. So no, you're not going to get healed in any on any walking track or in any fitness center. You really have to do your own mental work and maybe seek support from a psychiatrist. Maybe but it has to begin somewhere. You have to. I feel sorry for anybody who don't have some of the people that I have in a good bit of the people. Well, my community look different now, but I had to do a lot of work. I had to
Right.
really take ownership. You know, it's almost like not sweeping at your house. I really had to clean up on some of my stuff on
Knowing
my
not
and,
not to
and,
go.
and yeah, and wait, this last part. And like I did say about accountability, I had to be accountable for a lot of stuff. Just like you're accountable for paying your own bills or whatever, I had to be accountable for some stuff. And it did hurt it hurt. It hurt. It hurt. It hurt. You
We're
know,
always we're always talking about. We're always speaking on if you recognize what's going on with you and you attempt to do the internal work, you have to have some tough skin to do internal work. Coach D and I are always talking about that here on the podcast. So we don't recommend that if you see the issue and if you don't have tough skin, if you can't stand that mirror, you better seek
Trent.
professional help. It's gonna
Trent,
be
I want
tough.
to talk. I'm gonna go here for a minute. God, I hate to do this, but I'm gonna go here. Trent, you and I talk in depth. I'm gonna be vulnerable for a minute.
What do I say?
I want to. You
All
and
right,
I
go ahead.
talk,
Go ahead.
and I was in a relationship with somebody who might not have always been healthy. Not
Oh,
that the
you going there?
person wasn't healthy,
Right.
not that I wasn't healthy, but us together wasn't healthy.
Right.
And I found myself doing things, saying things, being places that I had no business, and acting in ways that I was never raised to act.
Right.
And I did not know how to sever any of that. I didn't know how to unpack it. I didn't know how to delineate any of it. But I know I wasn't who. And like I said, going back to 44 and before going to college, going back to school, it was a lot of work that took place with my own self.
Right.
You know, and I couldn't afford a psychiatrist. I'm just going to be honest. I couldn't. I didn't have time. I at 44, I couldn't. And I was just getting out of a marriage and jumping into something. It was just too much. But
Now,
I know wherever.
let me stop you for a second, because she talks about this all the time. Can you tell Ursula what that trauma bond looks like?
So a trauma bond. So you have two people, right? So I tell people there's two types of people: those who are raised in survival, and those who are raised in love, right? Raised in survival means either you've had physical abuse, mental abuse, financial abuse, emotional abuse, or sexual abuse. Those are all traumas. So what happens is somebody who is an abuser will look for somebody who has those traumas, and they'll create a bond with them. So they keep that person on eggshells. It'll be good, it'll be bad, it'll be good, it'll be bad, it'll be good, it'll be bad. It always goes back to good. They'll start off with love bombing, and what'll happen is you become bonded to that person because there's good times. It's not all bad. This is also why it's so hard to get out of how to get people out of domestic violence situations. Because what happens in the trauma bond is they beat down that person's self-esteem and self-confidence.
There you go.
So eventually they have to literally hit rock bottom before they go and look in the mirror, normally crying, this isn't me, I need to get out. Right? And then they break that trauma bond. But here's the problem. A lot of people don't do the healing after that relationship to heal themselves before they get into the next one. And it ends up being a vicious cycle, one trauma bond after another, after another, after another. So that's why I tell people, if you leave a relationship, no matter if it's a healthy relationship, whatever relationship it is, heal before you move on to that other relationship.
Bingo. Right? How many times? And I won't get into what we used to talk about, and we'd have lengthy conversations, D. You know, Ursula and I about this situation. And I would constantly, it was almost where I was badgering her because she's my friend. She's my dear friend, man. And I knew she was better than that situation. You know, we'd stop talking for 4 or 5 months at a time. And anytime she called me back, I would ask her immediately about that situation.
Yeah. But people don't change until they're ready to change. You could badger somebody, you could bribe them, you can do whatever. You could, like the old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. Until that person's ready to change, there's nothing you can do.
I wasn't even a horse. I was a mule.
No, you're a beautiful quarter horse or a beautiful stubborn. I think in the horse world, it's red mares that are stubborn ones.
I was a mule, and I'm so grateful to God for growth.
Mules are amazing because mules are protectors. People don't realize that. They're very protective. So, you know.
No, I needed to grow a lot. And I can honestly say I'm so incredibly thankful to you, Trent. To my friend Ronnie. I got a friend, Portia, Chantel, of course. Oh God, you think you
Absolutely.
You think you freaking hammered my head against the wall. Chantel would just look at me and be like, "You're so better."
That's not it. That's not it. That's
she
not
said,
it.
You don't know who you are. And I'm like, I do. She's like, you can't. And you know, it's just, I'm grateful. I'm so grateful. But it started with me, no matter who served me communion and on what Sunday they served it to me, I just didn't want to receive help.
Right.
So if you can go to therapy, but there's a lot of people sitting in therapy that just don't even want the help.
They don't want the help. Man, they really don't. Yeah. I
And there's
totally
people
get
in
that.
therapy
So
solely to manipulate specific situations as well.
that's
I'm
true.
sure for those therapists that are educated enough to know and understand, but for those who aren't, it's still a challenge. And unfortunately, I can almost rest assured the reason why therapists exist is because as long as you have people that are, having trauma, and trauma will happen,
Right.
there will be people who need trauma, because the people who are experiencing trauma won't get help, and unfortunately they will um, affect somebody else.
Exactly. So hey, it's about 10 minutes to the hour. Let's drive this point home with the Are You Wealthy? You can finish off that blog.
So like in our closing, it said ultimately great health and mental stability are true measures of wealth in today's society. They provide a solid foundation for fulfilling and prospering, you having a prosperous life, allowing individuals to thrive in all aspects of their existence. And as you always say, Mr. Epic, to the beautiful people, stay encouraged and be inspired.
That's fine.
And it's
Exactly.
gonna be stay in love. As much as we want to think we're all different, we walk on the same concrete together, and we are basically all on common ground. Um, so we gotta I always keep that in mind when I'm talking to people that, I find a connection, because we're all connected. So we all connect. And so we all have trauma. And it's just how, if we own it and willing to even start at the minimal phase, talking to somebody in our community who can encourage. That's the reason why we have gumbo talk. We need to be reaching people. You need
Right.
to be reaching people, and I hope that people will consider looking and talking with us on Sundays for 7. If you don't hear from one of us, ask for the link, because we kind of want to reach our community and make sure people know that there are people like D available, and of course, me and you, Trent, to make them laugh, because we ain't no therapist like D. Although I may have a little, I have a little education on it. I'm sure my education isn't defined like D's is, but I do know that a lot of people I do support in my community, and encourage. So
Right.
we're all on common ground. There's nobody who is that much bigger or that much better. It's just some of us that are educated about our trauma and mental stability, our mental health differently. So
Exactly. But the whole point to that blog was I thought about my personal situation as
mhm.
far as in recovery and whatnot. Again, if I wasn't, like I said in the top of the show, if I wasn't all there, I wouldn't have gotten over the hump. If I didn't have the wherewithal to set up these boundaries and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. I need to get better. I need to leave y'all alone for a minute.
Yeah,
More than sure, a ton of people thought, wow, he's losing his mind. Nah, nah. I was getting away from my kryptonite.
right.
I was getting away from my kryptonite. So it's very important, man. It's very imperative that we recognize this stuff. When we go through these things or any turbulent situations, we need to, if you can't go within and get it, internally, seek help and get it. Because the only way I was able to go full steam ahead at this recovery, I had to create boundaries. I knew it. And yes, I acquired the tools years before to start on this journey. So my path was already laid out for me.
Can
It's
I
already
interrupt you for a second before you keep going? Because I want to say something. I remember too, also D and Trent, and for the listeners, for our audience. I remember too, like one Saturday morning waking up, and I had turned 50 at this time, and I had kind of take a look at the people who I had surrounded myself by, because now my community looked totally different. And so it brought me to tears. Like it really brought me to some tears that I, like she said, when you crawl up in a corner and you're crying, it brought me to tears, because I really was like, if you really, really want help, and you may not have therapy or whatever in your community, but if you seek help, just go seek help. I guarantee you will be surprised. Just make a phone call. And I'm gonna do my next reel is gonna be about that, because you never know when you hear from people. Quite case in point, you and I, you never know when you hear from people how that matters to people. And when about just that point of picking up the phone and talking to people and understanding where they are, and maybe encouraging them to seek. Just go and open your door. Somebody will be there to receive you if you start to align yourself correctly in your community.
Exactly. Again, for like I said, my personal journey, once I was able to get to a point to where I could actually walk within this recovery, you have to remember, I was bedridden. I was partially blind. I could not walk.
Right.
But if I didn't have the wherewithal to know exactly what I needed, let's just say this, right? If I was an emotional wreck, I'd still be bedridden. I would still be bedridden. And this is why it's very important to me to say this. And that's why I wrote that blog after thinking about where I've come from. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if I was a complete emotional wreck, all this tragedy, all this loss and everything, if I focused on that, I wouldn't be here right now.
Trent, I don't know when I called you if I knew you would be okay, but I did call you and say, when I read something that you posted, I said, listen, you're going to be okay. But I wasn't sure. I just needed to tell you, you will get through this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it's, I'm not no counselor, but luck, not even luck. Just I'm happy that you had people like myself and D that you had aligned yourself with long before you started navigating some of the atrocities that you did. It made for where you are today. And those other people who around you, I'm not going to just take credit, because I'm very little here on a pole, if we really are being honest. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think
here's the thing that's very important. I created my tribe. Mm-hmm. I recreated my tribe. I knew exactly who was good for me and who would actually help me get over the hump. I created that tribe. I created that. You, D, Tammy. I created that tribe. You know what I'm saying? So you have to have some type of, to get over that hump, man, you have to know exactly where you are. Mm-hmm. I embraced it. That's why I walked over that molehill as if, actually, I walked over that mountain.
Other stuff, even like today, we still breathing, and we're human. We're still having human experiences, and that's why it's so important that I even told you about my situation, with somebody I kind of was seeing, and I'm like, listen, I'm not. You are where you are. It's great. That's okay. I don't want to change you. I don't expect you to, try to fit your lifestyle into mine. If I would streets align, maybe something could happen. And if they don't, nothing, it's okay. And it's all love. What I'm not going to do, what I'm clear on, is where I'm coming from. I will not sit in that ever again. I will not.
And that's what makes us so effective at what we do, because we're well aware of who we are and where we came from and where we're going.
Right.
And we know that, none of us are perfect.
Right.
We will be the first to admit that. That's why I tease Trent about being on his pedestal sometimes, because we all have been down there. And we've been down that road, And we know where that road leads and how hard that road is. So
Yes.
that's why I tell people it's okay to be okay. Sometimes there's people out here right now who have friends who are toxic, and you need to have difficult conversations with yourself and let them go. Because if your friend is making backhanded comments, or they're side-eyeing you when you're saying stuff, or they're not supporting you, then those aren't your friends, and you need to just walk away from them.
Exactly. I knew this topic was going to be a heavy one, which is cool. I knew it was going to be heavy. Anytime we're talking about health, anything, talking about physically fit, because let's just be honest. There's a great number who don't have consistency when it talks about physical health, mental health. There's a great number of people who don't have that discipline, right?
Yeah.
So I knew it was going to be kind of heavy.
It is. It's a heavy topic,
Yeah, but I'm cool with that. I'm very cool with it being heavy, because here on the conversations, we have tough conversations.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only way you get over the hump, having a tough conversation.
You and I have had some tough conversations.
Girl, you should have seen him 20 years ago. You think he's a mess now.
I'm going to tell you something. We never got into a real physical fight. Not even a verbal fight. But like your lifestyle ain't aligned. Yeah, neither is yours.
Exactly. So, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, anybody who's been following me for the 20 plus years that I've been doing this, I have no filter. And with my friends, especially when I love them, I'm gonna just say it. I'm gonna let it rip. So they've come to love me, because they know I'm just gonna say it and deal with the consequences. So hey,
it's been great. It's really been great. It's been great. And it's been times when I was like, yeah, you know why you don't like it? You don't like it because I came up with my own conclusions. Yeah, because
And I'm constantly telling him to stop strapping on shoes that he's not meant to be wearing.
I know me and him had an argument one time, and I probably said something like, listen, this some real, I'm being transparent. I said, you know why you got a problem with me, Trent? Because you want me for yourself. No, Urs, I really don't.
Stop.
Wait. And he said stuff like, no, Urs, I really don't. But I recognize that you're a good person just from talking to you. And I'm not the only one who recognized this. People around me who have met you. Michael had already knew me and said, that girl is cool. Like I met Mike from other people. And so it was like, that girl is cool. But it's funny how people could see in you what you can't see in yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Good. I like that. Yeah.
People be like, I just want a ice cream. I just want vanilla ice cream. Like, you want caramel too? Yeah, I do. But I don't deserve caramel and pecans and cherries and all that. Yeah, you do. Why you don't deserve it?
When she told me that, I'm saying to myself the entire time, I don't want that trouble. I don't want nothing to do with that trouble. I don't want nothing to, because Ursa and I have been very transparent with each other over the years.
Like, we have.
I don't want that trouble at all.
You would say that too. You would say that. I would say, we done had some times. But it's all love. And I even say that times I'm so grateful for our friendship. And I'm quick to say that, because we have the bond we have, and because we are the friends that we are, we do not know each other on that level. We have always, been accountable. Just straight accountability. Like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that?
Exactly.
No.
Like I can recall, I'm gonna let you guys go here. I can recall she thinks she calling me, telling me something good about this guy that she was in a toxic relationship. She going on, well, guess what happened? And I said, you think that shit cool? What's wrong with you? She get out.
I love you. I do. I love you because you what? Let me tell you.
It's all good.
D. Listen, when I tell you, I went from having my daddy telling me stuff to this dude right here. I'm like calling him, telling him stuff. He like, girl, you an idiot. But if you want to be an idiot, it's okay because I know you not. But you know what? That stuff you saying ain't smart. Don't even worry about it. Don't worry about it. You gonna come back and tell me about it one day. I was like, he don't even know. I ain't even gonna be talking to him, really.
What you say, D?
I've had hours long conversation with Trent about some nonsense he's done too, so I get it.
On that note,
I won't say nothing more about that.
On that note, tell the folks where they can find you. Tell the folks where they can find you, D.
So I'm working on my website right now. So the shop is down currently. It's all going to be uploaded to my shop because Shopify, one, they got hacked. Two, they're taking my money and I don't want to give them any more money. So it's going to be all on my website, dlayler.com. There's going to be a link to Xavier's page on there too. So you can buy some straw toppers from the little man. And there's some courses, some digital works that you can download. And it'll be all there for you by the end of next week. And
get these ladies.
I have to rewrite some stuff in the book.
Get these ladies' social sites up, monetizing over on Instagram. So got over like 23,000 people over there. But Ursula, give them your handle. Coach D, give them your handle so we can monetize. It doesn't matter who's monetizing. So give your handles, man. So let's get these numbers up over there on your social sites.
You first, D.
My TikTok is Coach D Layler. There's some meditations on there. I'm going to put some stuff. I'm going to put a gratitude course on there. I'm going to do a series of videos on gratitude. So that's going to be coming up this week.
Good stuff.
Keep an eye out.
Urs.
If you know me, you know I'm a busybody. I stay busy. If you want to find me on Facebook, I'm at Ursula, URSELIA. Johnson on Facebook. On Instagram, I'm Destination NOLA. Or Ursulia, URSELIA, and on on TikTok, I think I'm Ursula Destination Nola is one of those Trent. I'm a know D. I know I'm like Urs, you're off. I'm a know next week by this time. I'm definitely gonna know. But I think if you look up Ursulia, URSELIA, I should pop up because there's not too many Ursulias, URSELIA.
Exactly. And to keep me out of the hot seat with D, you guys send us some topics at gumbletalk@taylorkennedyonline.com. Just email us the topic, we'll gumbo talk it and all that good stuff. So
I don't think you're in trouble with D, and I think D did an excellent job at, really making sure we're clear in a defined line in mental health versus mental stability versus like what does that look like if you're saying I'm mentally stable versus. But
I was actually using those type words to get up on there.
Trent does it on purpose. I know I should know better than just ignore him, but I don't.
I do it on purpose.
Yeah.
So everything
it's a heavy topic anyway. So if we stay in here, people. And I noticed the audience was somewhat quiet today because it really does prompt people to think. Think. Go into yourself. Have the monologue within yourself about being mentally trying to get to a well place. So
exactly.
Yeah.
And for all the medical fitness needs, all the trauma needs, all that stuff, visit taylorkennedyonline.com. You'll find Coach D's links over there with the parenting coach, the parenting, the parenting on coaching on parenting. I'm sorry, and all the medical fitness, everything's there for you guys. You can get the blogs from the site that Ursula was reading. You can get that on taylorkennedyonline.com/blog. So I started back reblogging and whatnot. Like I said at the beginning of the show, I haven't touched that blog site in over a decade, and I'm back to writing. So good stuff.
Yeah. Good stuff. Hey, we're not here to exploit anybody. We're only here to help.
That's all.
Yeah.
That's all. Good stuff. You want to close it out, D?
Just remember, it's okay to not be okay.
I love that.
There it is.
So love you all. Enjoy the Olympics.
Exactly.
Watching our gymnastic ladies kick some butt.
Yeah.
Actually, the following Thursday, I'll be on with the nutritionist coach Catherine over in France. So that'll be 8:30 U.S. time, Central Standard Time, and CTE time is 3:30 p.m. over in Europe time. That's Europe time over in France. So we'll be talking on nutrition. So good stuff there. I'll be on next couple of weeks with that. So good stuff. And also I have Tammy back on. I had a wonderful conversation with Tammy on Friday. Had a wonderful conversation with Tammy on Friday. We're having another conversation, maybe Friday after next, something like that. So appreciate all the support from you guys all over the world, Europe, France, the Netherlands, Canada, all the good stuff. And of course, right here in the States, truly appreciate it, folks. Get those numbers up, man. Get those social numbers up for the ladies so they can start monetizing on that end. So the conversation is actually on a roll and want to keep that steamroll going. So good stuff there.
All right.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Good night. Happy Sunday, everybody. Thank y'all.
You guys take care. Be epic.
Bye-bye. All righty.
Conversations with Trent in conjunction with Taylor Kennedy Media and your radio network would like to thank you for calling in and listening to tonight's episode. We hope that tonight's conversation offended you just enough to turn your mirror inward to come back for more. So until next week's conversation, be epic.